Hurricane Francine is going to make landfall in Louisiana as we go into tomorrow, and we're going to go over all the details that you need to know about Hurricane Francine in today's video, along with the long-range outlook going in toward the third week of September. We're going to dive into everything that you need to know in the video, so make sure to subscribe to the channel down below for the latest weather information right at your fingertips. You get the latest videos and live streams on this channel. Make sure to press the like button, the thumbs up button down below, especially if you do enjoy today's weather forecast. Also, leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll always get to those after the video. So let's look here at the GOES satellite imagery on this Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. And you can see we are seeing Hurricane Francine that is getting together down here just south of Louisiana, off the Louisiana coast. And this will make landfall in Louisiana as we go into tomorrow. So we are already getting into the peak of hurricane season in the Atlantic Basin. This is actually, the peak is this Friday on September 13th, and it is a no surprise that with the peak of the hurricane season, we are right on schedule. We have hurricane warnings down here across portions of southern Mississippi, southern Louisiana, and coastal parts of Texas even have those tropical storm warnings as we go through the middle and end of this week. Here's the latest track and intensity guidance from the National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, and you can see currently a strong tropical storm at 65 miles per hour. Movement is north-northeast at 8 miles per hour. It is expected to become a Category 1 hurricane this afternoon and continue to remain a Category 1 or even a Category 2 hurricane as it makes landfall in southern Louisiana as we go into Wednesday afternoon and Wednesday evening. It is at no surprise that the system has plenty of favorability in strengthening. We have a lot of warm sea surface temperatures down here just off the coast of Louisiana, and as it's approaching the coast, we have a little bit of some cooler waters, but they're not cold waters by any means. So the latest intensity guidance overall has this as a mid-grade Category 1 hurricane, still not out of the realm of possibility that we get to Category 2 strength as we go into landfall tomorrow, before slowly starting to dwindle back to a tropical storm and then a tropical depression by Thursday and Friday. Let's look at the latest track by the Icon model. Captures this very well. Today you can see a 994 millibar low just off the southeast coast of Texas. As it approaches the coast of Louisiana tomorrow, 977 or lower millibars is expected. A Category 1, possibly a Category 2 hurricane at this point. It's going to be bringing those very heavy rain bands in, storm surge, everything like that, the wind gusts, and then some very heavy rains, even as it moves into portions of Arkansas, western Tennessee, northern Mississippi, and northwestern Alabama as we go into Thursday. And then all that remnant moisture is going to stretch out across the Illinois Valley down toward the Ohio-Tennessee River valleys as we go into Friday, September 13th, late this week, with some of that moisture getting caught up with dry air. So it'll start to dwindle by that point. Here is the latest on the peak storm surge forecast from the National Hurricane Center. Possibly up to 10-foot storm surge there in Vermilion Bay. So if you live near the Vermilion Bay area, evacuation should already be underway, and definitely interests near the coastline are going to be very dangerous with up to 10-foot storm surge here. And even over toward Lake Pontchartrain, we could see up to 5 to 6-foot storm surge even in these areas as we go through the end of the week. This system is also going to be putting down some healthy rainfall totals in excess of 3, 4, 5 inches in a lot of these areas, stretching from southern Illinois all the way back down toward New Orleans. New Orleans region could be around 6 inches, and then over here into portions of southeastern Louisiana, there could be isolated double-digit totals. Can't rule out 10 inches of rain as we go through the Saturday time frame. So for that, the Weather Prediction Center is forecasting a moderate risk of flash flooding here. This does include the whole entire metropolitan area of New Orleans, with a slight risk of flash flooding in metropolitan areas of Jackson, Mississippi, Lake Charles, Little Rock, Memphis, and all the way up there towards the Cape Girardeau and Carbondale areas there in southern Illinois and Missouri. So we're going to keep an eye on that over the next few days. Looking at the contiguous United States as a whole, this morning we did start off pretty cool across the Ohio Valley again. Temperatures in the upper 40s to low 50s we started out in. Very comfortable brand of air. This afternoon, the heat is starting to build across the plains. We're into the low, even mid 90s in some areas, especially where the soil is a little bit drier. Drier soil tends to heat up a lot quicker. And even in the Ohio Valley, we started off in the upper 40s, low 50s. We'll end up around 80 degrees or so on either side of 80 this afternoon. And looking at the pattern change upcoming late this week, it starts today, that transition period, because we're going to have a major trough come in across the west, the Pacific Northwest tomorrow, and then you see this trough. This is with Francine down across the Gulf Coast tomorrow, and then you can see Francine moving up into the mid-Mississippi Valley there on Friday, and this trough starts to weaken as it moves across the Rockies into the northern plains. But look at the reds up here in southeastern Canada into Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec. These areas are going to be seeing some very strong high pressure up here, and this is going to keep us high and dry, but also start to warm us up. So Wednesday afternoon, we're going to see the 90s and 80s return to the Midwest, the Ohio Valley, so no surprise, summer-like temperatures are coming back tomorrow. As we go into Thursday afternoon as well, and then into Friday afternoon, I think a lot of this cooling will have to do with cloud cover, the remnants of Francine, and also some rainfall prospects here, cooling us back to the 60s and 70s. Areas that don't manage to see a lot of cloud cover rainfall from the system, like the central southern plains, we're going to be well into the 90s, like the Dallas-Fort Worth area Friday afternoon could be approaching 100 at 98, 99 in Wichita Falls, and 98 respectively in Lubbock, Texas as we go into Friday afternoon. Looking at precipitation across the United States, that trough across the Pacific Northwest into Washington State, Oregon, Idaho, and western Montana, areas that actually desperately need the rainfall, will likely get some on Wednesday. Thursday is the big day for rainfall, maybe even some higher elevation snow sneaking in there across eastern Idaho. And then as we go into Friday, a lot of that precipitation moves across the international border into the southern Canadian prairies of southern Alberta and Saskatchewan. Some of those metropolitan areas up there could be seeing some heavier rains as we go into Friday. Overall, a lot of the precipitation you see in the southeast is tied to Hurricane Francine's moisture. The Pacific Northwest, that moisture is with that strong trough coming in tomorrow and on Thursday, and then washing out a little bit or weakening as it moves east on Friday. Could be bringing some beneficial rains to central and western Montana and eastern Idaho, areas that could see up to 2-3 inches worth of rain through Saturday, September 14th. And that is certainly good news when looking at the latest drought monitor that was released this past Thursday. Those are areas that have severe, extreme, and even exceptional drought starting to develop, and exceptional drought is the worst drought category there. So hopefully we can get some much needed moisture here and give the ground a good soaking as we alleviate some of that drought. Heading into this weekend, that strong ridge of high pressure in southeastern Canada will be locked in place. This little blue streak here across the southeast is what's left of Francine as we go into the weekend, and we still have that trough across the Pacific Northwest as well. And all told, it's going to be a pretty warm, unseasonably warm weekend across southeastern Canada, areas that could be up to 30 degrees above the norm for the middle of September. Even the middle of the country, the Great Plains, the upper Midwest, will also be a handful of degrees, 10 to 20 degrees above normal for this time of year by the weekend. And let's peek at those weekend temperatures. Saturday afternoon, we're into the 80s across the Great Lakes and Ohio Valley, and 90s again, scorching down here into Texas and southern Oklahoma. And then as we go into Sunday morning, we're dropping into a comfortable low to mid 60s, a little bit warmer than this for this time of year in the morning for lows, but that'll pop us right back up into the 80s and 90s in our same areas really as we go into Sunday afternoon on September 15th to end the weekend. Precipitation prospects this weekend, really going to be moisture with Francine kind of washing out across the Tennessee Valley in the southeast. That trough coming in later this week across the Pacific Northwest will lead to some precipitation up into Canada mainly, and that'll continue into Sunday. Could have some showers from Wisconsin, Illinois, all the way down toward New Orleans again on Sunday. Certainly not as heavy as what we're seeing as it makes landfall, but still that remnant moisture lingering around this weekend could cause maybe a couple more inches of rain to fall across Memphis, maybe down toward the Tupelo area there into Mississippi, and even the Birmingham area into Alabama as we go into the weekend, getting some decent rains potentially. And as we go into next week, Yet again, we still have that pattern locked in place. We have that ridge of high pressure over here in southeastern Canada, keeping southeastern Canada warm and the middle of the country warm. We have the remnants of Francine finally offshore as we go into next week, and then another trough coming in next week across the west. This will be more progressive, moving from west to east, but earlier in the week, we're going to see some warmer temperatures. For the third week of September standards, we're about 20 degrees above the norm across the upper Midwest, down into the central and northern plains, southeastern Canada included. And then out west, the Sacramento Valley there in California, all the way up to the Cascades in the Pacific Northwest, we could be talking about temperatures up to 20 degrees below the norm for the third week in September. We have to watch this dip in the jet stream here across the west. This will be bringing a lot of moisture in it with the trough, and that could bring some much more needed rainfall across western Montana again next week, Idaho, Oregon, and a lot of these areas in the Pacific Northwest and northern plains that really need the rainfall here and a good drink of water. Hopefully we can get that again as we go into next week. We'll be tracking it for you right here on Weather on the Go. Thank y'all for watching. Make sure to subscribe to the channel down below for the latest weather information right at your fingertips, whether it's a video or a live stream. We'll have you covered here on the channel. Make sure to press the like button down below, especially if you did enjoy today's weather forecast. Leave any comments, questions, and concerns below. We'll get to those later on after the video, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Tuesday out there.